Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The night is cold and unyielding as I sit alone in my dimly lit living room, the shadows stretching long and jagged across the floor. The ticking of the clock on the wall is a relentless reminder of the time passing by, each second a dagger to my soul. My mind races back to that fateful day, the day my life changed forever. James, Rebecca's voice had been soft, almost a whisper. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her face pale. "I have something to tell you." The worry in her voice had immediately set my nerves on edge. "What is it, Becky?" I asked, reaching out to take her hand. Her fingers were ice cold. She took a deep breath, and the words that came next knocked the breath out of me. "I have cancer." I remember the feeling of the world collapsing around me. My beautiful, vibrant wife, struck down by such a cruel fate. It didn't seem real. But then, what did I know about the truth? Rebecca's hair started to fall out shortly after. "The chemo," she said, "was brutal." She showed me the scars, the marks of her battle. And I believed her. I had no reason not to. I loved her more than anything. When she asked for money for her treatment, I didn't hesitate. I sold my car, drained my savings, did everything I could to support her. I would have given her the world if it meant she could be cured. "James, thank you," she would say, her voice thick with tears. "I don't know what I would do without you." Every time, I would hold her close, feeling her frail body trembling in my arms, and assure her that we would get through this together. That was my promise to her. And I was a man of my word. But that was then. Now, as I sit in this desolate living room, the reality of my situation settles in like a dark cloud. She's gone. She took everything, my money, my trust, my heart, and vanished. The last thing I heard, she had fled the country with her lover, a man I had never met, but whose presence now haunted my every waking moment. A knock on the door snaps me back to the present. I open it to find Mark, my best friend, standing there with a concerned look on his face. "James, you look like hell," he says, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. He's always been like that, barging in when he senses something is wrong. I came as soon as I heard. "Thanks, Mark," I mutter, running a hand through my disheveled hair. I don't even know where to start. Mark sits down on the couch, motioning for me to join him. "Start from the beginning. Tell me everything." So I do. I tell him about Rebecca's supposed illness, the money I gave her, the day I came home to find a note on the kitchen table, "I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. Goodbye, James." No explanation, no warning, just a final, cruel blow. Mark listens intently, his brow furrowing deeper with each word. When I finish, he's silent for a long moment. "That bitch," he finally says, his voice low and filled with rage. "How could she do this to you?" "I don't know," I reply, my voice breaking. "I don't know anything anymore." "James, we need to do something," Mark says, his eyes flashing with determination. "You can't let her get away with this." "What can I do?" I ask, feeling utterly defeated. "She's gone. She took everything and left." Mark leans forward, his eyes boring into mine. "We find her. We make her pay for what she did." The idea is tantalizing. Revenge. It's the only thing that makes sense now. I nod slowly, a spark of hope igniting in my chest. "Okay. But how?" Mark grins, a dangerous gleam in his eye. "Leave that to me. I have a few contacts who might be able to help us track her down." As the plan begins to take shape, I feel a renewed sense of purpose. Rebecca and her lover think they can just walk away, leaving me in ruins. They have no idea what's coming for them. I will see them pay for what they did, no matter the cost. "Let's do it," I say, my voice filled with a steely resolve I haven't felt in months. "Let's make them pay." Mark nods, clapping a hand on my shoulder. That's the spirit. We'll get through this together, James. And we'll make sure they regret the day they crossed you. As the night stretches on, the details of our plan become clearer. We'll start by gathering information, using Mark's contacts to track Rebecca's movements. Once we know where she is, we'll take the next steps. This is just the beginning. I glance at the clock. It's past midnight, but I feel more awake than I have in a long time. The road ahead is dark and uncertain, but I'm ready to face it. For too long, I've been the victim. Now, it's time to take control. Rebecca and her lover think they've won. But they have no idea who they're dealing with. This is far from over. The game has just begun. The first rays of dawn pierce through the curtains, casting a soft glow across the living room. Mark is still here, his laptop open on the coffee table, fingers flying over the keyboard. He's been at it all night, making calls, sending messages, leveraging every connection he has. The sound of his typing is both comforting and unnerving, a constant reminder of the path we've chosen. James, come look at this, Mark calls, not taking his eyes off the screen. I shuffle over, still groggy from lack of sleep. What did you find? He points to a grainy photo on the screen, a CCTV capture from an airport. It's Rebecca, arm in arm with a tall man, both of them wearing sunglasses and carrying large bags. They flew out of the country 2 days ago. Destination, Mexico City. My heart races as I stare at the image. How did you get this? Mark grins, a hint of pride in his eyes. I have my ways. And I have a friend who works in airport security. They're sloppy, James. They didn't cover their tracks well. I feel a surge of anger and determination. So, what's the plan? Mark closes his laptop and stands up. We're going to Mexico. I've already booked our flights. We leave tonight. Tonight? I echo, surprised by the speed of his arrangements. What about your job? Your life here? Mark waves a dismissive hand. Don't worry about me. This is about you. About getting you justice. Besides, I could use a break from the daily grind. I nod, feeling a mixture of gratitude and apprehension. Thank you, Mark. I don't know what I'd do without you. Save the thanks for when we find them, he says, clapping me on the back. We've got a long way to go. The day passes in a blur of preparations. We pack our bags, make arrangements, and before I know it, we're at the airport, boarding a flight to Mexico City. The plane takes off, and as the ground falls away beneath us, I feel a strange sense of liberation. This is it. The hunt begins now. We land in Mexico City late at night, the air thick with humidity and the sounds of a bustling metropolis. Mark has arranged for a local contact to meet us, someone who can help us navigate this unfamiliar territory. We exit the airport and spot a man holding a sign with Mark's name on it. Mr. McAllister, the man asks, his English heavily accented. He's short and stocky, with a shaved head and a scar running down his cheek. That's me, Mark replies, shaking the man's hand. You must be Raul. See. Welcome to Mexico City. I will take you to your hotel, and then we can discuss our plan. We follow Raul to a beat-up old car parked nearby. The drive through the city is a chaotic mix of neon lights, honking horns, and vibrant street life. Eventually, we pull up to a modest hotel in a quieter part of town. Raul checks us in, and we gather in one of our rooms to go over the plan. I have some contacts who might have seen your wife and her companion, Raul explains, spreading out a map on the small table. Mexico City is big, but not so big that you can disappear completely without someone noticing. Where do we start? I ask, eager to get moving. Raul points to a district on the map. There are some areas where foreigners like to stay. We will begin there. I have friends who will ask around. Mark nods, looking satisfied. Good. The sooner we start, the better. The next few days are a whirlwind of activity. Raoul takes us to various neighborhoods, introducing us to his contacts, showing us the city's hidden corners. We visit markets, bars, hotels, and talk to countless people, showing Rebecca's picture and asking if anyone has seen her. One night, while we're having dinner at a small, dimly lit restaurant, Raoul's phone rings. He answers, and his expression immediately changes to one of excitement. "We have a lead," he says, hanging up. "Someone saw them at a hotel in the Zona Rosa district." My heart leaps. "Let's go." We rush out of the restaurant and pile into Raoul's car. The drive to Zona Rosa feels like an eternity, but finally, we pull up outside a sleek, modern hotel. We enter the lobby, trying to look inconspicuous. "Wait here," Raoul instructs, approaching the front desk. Mark and I stand by, my nerves on edge. After a few minutes, Raoul returns with a triumphant smile. "They are here. Room 314. A mixture of emotions washes over me, anger, betrayal, anticipation. "What now?" Raoul glances around, lowering his voice. We go up and confront them. But be careful. We don't know how they will react. We take the elevator to the third floor, the silence between us heavy with tension. When the doors open, we step out into a quiet hallway. Room 314 is at the far end. We walk slowly, each step echoing in the stillness. I raise my hand to knock, but Mark stops me. "Let me do it," he says, giving me a reassuring nod. He knocks firmly on the door. For a moment, there's no sound. Then, we hear footsteps approaching. The door opens a crack, and Rebecca's face appears, her eyes widening in shock when she sees us. "James," she gasps, her voice barely audible. "What are you doing here?" Before I can respond, the door swings open wider, revealing a man standing behind her. He's tall and muscular, with a smug look on his face. "Who the hell are you?" he demands, stepping forward. "I'm the man you stole from," I reply, my voice shaking with anger. "And I'm here to take back what's mine." Rebecca steps between us, her face pale. "James, please, you don't understand." "Save it," I snap, cutting her off. "I understand perfectly. You lied to me, you stole from me, and now you're going to pay." The man lunges forward, but Mark blocks him, his stance firm. "Back off, buddy. This isn't your fight." The man hesitates, sizing up Mark. "You think you can just barge in here and threaten us?" "We're not threatening," Mark says coldly. "We're promising." Rebecca looks desperate, her eyes darting between us. "James, please, let's talk about this." "There's nothing to talk about," I say, my voice filled with finality. "You made your choice. Now, you face the consequences." As the tension in the room reaches its peak, I realize this is just the beginning. Rebecca and her lover may think they can walk away from this unscathed, but they're wrong. I'm not the same man I was before. And I won't stop until they've paid for everything they've done. Mark steps back, motioning for me to follow. "Let's go, James. We've made our point. For now." I give Rebecca one last, lingering look, then turn and walk away. The door slams shut behind us, but the echoes of this confrontation will linger for a long time. We've taken the first step in our quest for justice. And nothing will stop us now. The humid air of Mexico City clings to my skin as Mark and I stride out of the hotel, our minds buzzing with the tension of the confrontation. The streets are alive with the chaotic energy of the night, but I can only think about what comes next. We've found them, but the battle has just begun. What's the plan now? I ask Mark, my voice barely audible over the din of the city. "We need to regroup," he replies, his eyes scanning the streets. "We can't just confront them head-on without a solid plan. Raoul joins us outside, his expression a mix of concern and determination. You made a strong statement up there. They'll be on edge now. Good, I say, my anger simmering just beneath the surface. I want them to know we're coming for them. We walk to a nearby cafe, its dim lighting and quiet atmosphere a stark contrast to the bustling streets outside. We find a secluded booth in the back and huddle together, discussing our next move. We need to gather more information, Raoul says, lowering his voice. We need to know their routines, their weaknesses. Mark nods in agreement. Raoul, can you have your contacts keep an eye on them? We need to know where they go, who they meet, everything. Raoul leans back, his eyes thoughtful. I can arrange that. But it will take some time. Time is something we don't have, I interject, my frustration evident. We need to act fast. Mark places a reassuring hand on my shoulder. We'll get them, James. But we need to be smart about it. Over the next few days, Raoul's network of contacts begins to work their magic. Information starts trickling in, piece by piece, painting a picture of Rebecca and her lover's new life. They frequent a few upscale restaurants, a gym, and a club known for its exclusivity. It's clear they're living a life of luxury on my money. One evening, Raoul calls us to a small, nondescript bar on the edge of town. The place is dark and smoky, with a few patrons scattered around, nursing their drinks. Raoul is waiting for us at a corner table, a serious look on his face. We've got something, he says as we sit down. They're planning to attend a private party at the club tomorrow night. It's a high-profile event, very exclusive. How do we get in? I ask, my mind racing. Raoul smiles, a glint of mischief in his eyes. I have a friend who owes me a favor. He can get us in, but we need to blend in, not draw attention to ourselves. Mark grins. Sounds like a challenge. The next day is a flurry of preparations. Raoul's friend, Miguel, meets us at a tailor's shop where we are fitted for suits that scream sophistication and wealth. The transformation is striking. By the time we step out of the shop, I hardly recognize myself. Remember, Raoul says as we approach the club later that evening, we're here to observe, gather information. Don't engage unless absolutely necessary. The club is a dazzling display of opulence, with a long red carpet leading to its entrance. We flash our invitations and glide inside, trying to blend in with the glamorous crowd. The interior is even more impressive, with crystal chandeliers, plush seating, and a dance floor packed with people. I scan the room, my eyes locking onto Rebecca and her lover near the bar. They're laughing, drinking, completely oblivious to our presence. My blood boils at the sight of them so carefree, but I force myself to stay calm. Mark nudges me. There they are. What now? We watch, I say through gritted teeth. We wait. Hours pass as we move through the crowd, keeping them in our sights. They socialize with various guests, their demeanor relaxed and confident. It's clear they've established themselves well here. At one point, Rebecca steps away to use the restroom, and I see my chance. I'm going to follow her, I whisper to Mark. Be careful, he warns. Don't let her see you. I nod and slip through the crowd, trailing Rebecca at a safe distance. She disappears down a hallway, and I wait a moment before following. The hallway is dimly lit and lined with doors. I see her enter one near the end and wait outside, my heart pounding. A few minutes later, the door opens, and Rebecca steps out, adjusting her dress. She doesn't notice me as she walks back toward the main room. I slip into the room she just left, my curiosity piqued. Inside, I find a small, luxurious powder room. But it's not the opulence that catches my eye. It's the open drawer filled with papers. I quickly scan the documents, my heart racing. Bank statements, rental agreements, and other financial documents, all in Rebecca's name. It's a treasure trove of information. Suddenly, I hear footsteps approaching. I grab a few key documents and slip out of the room, just in time to avoid being seen. Back in the main room, I find Mark and Raoul and show them what I found. "This is it," I whisper, excitement and anger mixing in my voice. "We have proof. We can use this against them." Raoul nods, a satisfied smile on his face. "Good work, James. This changes everything." As we leave the club, I feel a renewed sense of purpose. The documents in my pocket are the first tangible steps toward reclaiming what's mine and bringing Rebecca and her lover to justice. But I know this is just the beginning. There's still a long way to go, and the path ahead is fraught with danger. We return to our hotel room, and Raoul begins to sift through the documents, piecing together the financial web Rebecca has spun. The more we uncover, the clearer it becomes that she's been planning this for a long time. "She's smart," Raoul says, shaking his head in disbelief. "She's covered her tracks well. But not well enough." Mark leans forward, his eyes burning with determination. "What's our next move?" Raoul looks up, his expression serious. "We need to gather more evidence. And we need to find a way to use it against them." The next few days are a blur of activity. Raoul's contacts continue to provide us with valuable information, and we begin to build a case against Rebecca and her lover. We gather financial records, track their movements, and piece together their plan. One night, as we're going over the latest findings, Raoul's phone rings. He answers, and his face lights up with excitement. "That was one of my contacts," he says, hanging up. "Rebecca's lover has a business meeting tomorrow at a secluded location outside the city. This could be our chance to gather more evidence." We agree to follow him, hoping to catch him off guard and gather the information we need. The next day, we tail him from a distance as he drives out of the city, heading toward a remote villa. We park a safe distance away and watch as he enters the villa. Mark turns to me, his expression grim. "This is it, James. Are you ready?" I nod, my resolve stronger than ever. "Let's do this." We wait until the meeting is well underway, then approach the villa, keeping to the shadows. Raoul leads the way, his movements silent and precise. We slip inside, careful not to make a sound. Inside, we can hear voices coming from a room down the hall. We move closer, listening intently. It's Rebecca's lover, discussing financial transactions with another man. They're talking about large sums of money, offshore accounts, and other details that confirm our suspicions. Mark motions for me to start recording, and I pull out my phone, capturing the conversation. This is the evidence we need. As the meeting concludes and the men prepare to leave, we slip back out, our hearts pounding with the thrill of success. Back at the hotel, we review the recording, our excitement palpable. This is the break we've been waiting for. With this evidence, we can finally take action. "We have them," Raoul says, a triumphant smile on his face. "Now we just need to decide how to use it." Mark leans back, his expression thoughtful. "We need to be strategic. We can't just confront them outright. We need to hit them where it hurts." I nod, feeling a sense of clarity and purpose. We need to ruin them. Make them pay for everything they've done. As we begin to plan our next move, I realize that this is far from over. Rebecca and her lover may think they're untouchable, but they're wrong. We're closing in on them, and soon, they'll realize just how wrong they were. The game is on, and I'm ready to see it through to the end. The sun sets over Mexico City, casting long shadows that stretch across the bustling streets. Inside our hotel room, the atmosphere is tense as we finalize our plan. Raoul, Mark, and I are gathered around a small table, the documents and recordings spread out before us. Tonight is the night we bring Rebecca and her lover down. "We have everything we need," Raoul says, his voice steady. "The financial records, the recorded conversations, the photographs. They won't be able to deny any of it. Mark nods, a determined look in his eyes. We just need to make sure we execute this perfectly. There's no room for error. I glance at the pile of evidence, my heart pounding. This is it. The moment I've been waiting for. The moment I finally get my revenge. But as the final pieces fall into place, a nagging doubt tugs at the back of my mind. Something doesn't feel right. I push the thought aside, focusing on the task at hand. There's no turning back now. Our plan is simple yet effective. We'll confront Rebecca and her lover at their villa, presenting the evidence and giving them a choice: return the money and face the consequences or have their lives ruined. We've arranged for local authorities to be on standby, ready to move in if necessary. The drive to the villa is silent, each of us lost in our thoughts. When we arrive, the night is dark and still, the villa's lights casting an eerie glow. We park a short distance away and approach on foot, keeping to the shadows. Raoul signals for us to stop just outside the main entrance. Ready? He asks, looking at each of us in turn. Mark and I nod, and Raoul leads the way. We slip inside, moving through the darkened hallways until we reach the living room. Rebecca and her lover are there, lounging on a plush sofa, completely unaware of our presence. My heart races as I step forward, revealing myself. Rebecca, I say, my voice steady. We need to talk. She looks up, her eyes widening in shock. James. What are you doing here? Her lover stands, his expression hardening. You have no right to be here. I have every right, I reply, my anger boiling over. You stole from me, lied to me, and now you're going to pay. Mark and Raoul step forward, flanking me. Raoul holds up the documents, his expression cold. We have all the evidence. The financial records, the recordings, everything. You can't deny it. Rebecca's face pales, and for a moment, she looks genuinely frightened. But then she squares her shoulders, her eyes flashing with defiance. So what? You think you can just walk in here and threaten us? No, Mark says, his voice calm and measured. We're giving you a choice. Return the money, face the consequences, or we take this to the authorities and ruin your lives. The room falls silent, the tension thick. Rebecca's lover glares at us, his fists clenched. You think you're so smart, don't you? But you don't know the whole story. Enlighten us, I say, my patience wearing thin. He laughs, a harsh, bitter sound. Rebecca never had cancer. It was all a lie to get your money. And you fell for it, like the fool you are. I feel the blood drain from my face as his words sink in. What are you talking about? Rebecca looks away, her face a mask of guilt and regret. It's true, James. I lied. I never had cancer. I needed the money for us to start a new life. The revelation hits me like a punch to the gut. All this time, I'd been living a lie. Everything I thought I knew was false. My anger surges, and I step forward, my fists clenched. How could you do this to me? I demand, my voice shaking with rage. I loved you. I trusted you. I'm sorry, she whispers, tears streaming down her face. I never meant to hurt you. But I needed to get away. I needed to be free. Free. I spit, my anger boiling over. Free from what? From me? From the life we built together? Rebecca's lover steps between us, his expression hard. It's over, James. You need to accept that. No, I say, my voice cold and determined. It's not over. Not until you pay for what you've done. I turn to Raoul and Mark, my resolve hardening. Call the authorities. Let them deal with this. Raoul nods, pulling out his phone. But before he can dial, Rebecca's lover lunges at him, knocking the phone from his hand. Chaos erupts as the two men grapple, their movements wild and desperate. Mark and I rush to help, but Rebecca steps in front of me, her eyes pleading. Please, James. Don't do this. We can work something out. There's nothing to work out, I say, pushing past her. You made your choice. I reach for Raoul's phone, but Rebecca's lover grabs it first, smashing it against the wall. You're not calling anyone, he growls, his eyes filled with rage. Mark lunges at him, and the two men go down in a tangle of limbs. Raoul and I join the fray, the room filled with the sounds of struggle. In the chaos, I hear Rebecca shouting, her voice a mix of desperation and fear. Stop. Please, stop. But there's no stopping now. The fight is brutal, our anger and betrayal fueling our every move. Finally, with a last surge of effort, we overpower Rebecca's lover, pinning him to the ground. Raoul retrieves his phone and dials the authorities, his voice calm and steady as he explains the situation. Within minutes, the sound of sirens fills the air, growing louder as they approach the villa. Rebecca stands off to the side, her face a mask of despair. James, please. Don't do this. I turn to her, my heart aching with the weight of her betrayal. You did this to yourself, Rebecca. You and him. Now you have to face the consequences. The authorities arrive, their presence a mix of order and authority. They take Rebecca and her lover into custody, their expressions grim. As they're led away, I feel a strange mix of relief and sadness. It's over. The nightmare is finally over. Mark and Raoul stand by my side, their expressions a mirror of my own. You did the right thing, Raoul says quietly. They needed to be brought to justice. I nod, my eyes never leaving Rebecca as she's escorted out of the villa. I know. But it doesn't make it any easier. Mark claps a hand on my shoulder, his grip reassuring. We'll get through this, James. Together. As the authorities drive away, taking Rebecca and her lover with them, I feel a sense of finality wash over me. The deception is revealed, and the people who betrayed me are gone. But the pain of their betrayal lingers, a wound that will take time to heal. We leave the villa, the night air cool against my skin. The streets of Mexico City are quiet now, a stark contrast to the chaos of the past few hours. As we walk back to our hotel, I feel a strange sense of peace. The fight is over. The truth is out. And while the road ahead is uncertain, I know I'm not alone. Mark and Raoul are by my side, their support a constant source of strength. Together, we'll face whatever comes next. And while Rebecca and her lover may be gone, the lessons I've learned will stay with me forever. In the end, the deception was revealed, and the main characters parted forever, their lives changed by the betrayal. The bonds of trust were broken, and the love that once held us together was shattered. But from the ashes of that betrayal, a new strength emerged, a resolve to never be deceived again. As we walk into the night, I feel a sense of closure. The journey was painful, but necessary. And now, with the truth revealed and the past behind me, I'm ready to face whatever the future holds.